We're ready for our next set of interviews for the 2021 Big Sky Basketball Virtual Tip-Off on ESPN+. I'm joined by Northern Colorado head coaches Steve Smiley, Kristen Matteo, and student athletes Matt Johnson and Hannah Simon-Tull. We're going to jump right into our first set of questions here. Coach Smiley, last year was your first year at the head of the Bears program. How did the adversity you faced last year prepare you for this year?
Yeah, I think last year was just such a goofy year. It was hard to kind of compare it to any other year. We didn't have a summertime. We didn't have a fall. And just looking as we compare like year to year, you would compare what you did in practice last year. And like even at this point in time last year, we were just doing one person, one ball, one hoop, no coaches. So it was just so different that it was hard to relate. But I do think that the adversity and the challenges of last year, it can't get any harder than it was last year. We had two major shutdowns during the season where we paused, and I think we canceled, 12 or 14 games. So I think all that adversity, I think it makes you tougher and stronger as a coach and for our team too. So I think it's helped as we got back to a little bit more normal preparation this year. I think we feel like we're in a good place.
Hannah, you and I were chatting a little bit before we started recording here, and you were saying that this feels like your freshman year because of how different it is. How are you approaching this season differently?
I think last year I definitely got a lot of experience still on the basketball side, but there's just so many new things like being in the gym all together from the get-go, having an actual summer, conditioning all together. It's all just a lot of new stuff for me, but I'm also taking the things I learned last year and putting it towards this year. So I think I'm definitely going to be more experienced this year and ready to get after it.
When you talk about things that you learned last year, what are some of those things that you're taking and applying to this season?
Well, last year it was like every game that you got was a blessing. So I think this year I'm just really excited for each game that we get and taking it one at a time because, who knows with COVID and stuff, we could be back where we were last year. So I'm just really going to take it one game at a time, one practice at a time, and really cherish the moment.
Matt, you've been with the program since 2017. You're returning as a core veteran. How do you avoid letting your guard down with the experience that you've established?
Letting my guard down, I don't think is a problem because the end goal is all the same, and it's been the same for the last 4 years I've been here. And with a new team and just being a veteran, it's just teaching these new guys and these younger guys. We have a lot of younger guys on our team, just teaching them what we're all about here, and basically how to just set themselves up a role. So I have been here for a long time, so I know the ropes. I've been around Smiley for a long time, so I'm just excited to teach those young guys how to play the basketball the way we play.
You talk about the end goal. I think it's pretty obvious, but what is that end goal? Tell me.
Big Sky championship.
Absolutely. All right. Now, Coach Matteo, welcome to the Big Sky. There are a lot of new coaches in the league this year. Do you think that levels the playing field?
Ooh, that's a good question. All I know, I guess, is kind of from our end. We know the top teams in the conference, and they've been pretty stable the last several years. A lot of new faces. I think leveling the playing field would just be we all don't know what each other has right now, and maybe what we're going to do once we hit the court. But overall, for us here, we just try to take it one day at a time, having so many new people and new faces and building chemistry as quickly as we can and fighting for this culture. But it's been great. And I'm just excited to be back in this conference.
You talk about, not knowing maybe what other teams have, what they're bringing to the table. What are some of the greatest strengths that your program is going to be bringing into the season?
It's a good question. I think we're still figuring some of that out. I think we will probably hold on to more the strength in numbers. I don't think we're going to have just the identity of, one player that gets the job done, but we're going to rely on everybody to show up every single night. Honestly, I really don't care who puts the ball in the hole as long as it gets that direction, who gets the stop for us. But we'll come together. We play selfless style of basketball. We like to move the ball a lot and get after it on defense. So it should be a fun style of play.
Coach Smiley, definitely have a core group of veterans returning there. You've got one of them here on this Zoom call. How important is that going to be heading into this new season?
Yeah, I think it's huge. I think, every year when you look at the who comes out on top in the Big Sky, most of the time it's a team that's old, veteran, and has guys that have been there for a long time. So for us, with obviously with Matt on the call, Bodie Hume, Dalen Coons, Kurja Cooch, Trey Smoots, guys like that. We have a lot of veteran guys that, again, along with Matt, are teaching our guys the ropes. And we now have several guys that have been in the program for 4 years. And that really does help. And I think when you're good is when you can keep that consistency. And especially in today's game where there's the transfer portal and teams are getting decimated all over the place. If you can keep a core together, you've got a chance. So I do think with a veteran group, it's made our practices go good. And our guys are really hungry. You know, they have not fulfilled the goals that we all have yet. So we have a lot of hunger over here every day working towards what that ultimate goal is.
Yeah, you mentioned something interesting there, the transfer portal. How do you keep these guys there in Northern Colorado? What's special about your program?
Well, I think today it's you got to you have to have a relationship with your players. You know, you got to like them. You know, the old school transactional, relationship. I don't think that works anymore. And I think, if your players enjoy not just the basketball, but the overall experience, if they enjoy going to school, and I think our school's a great school. The size of the school and just this, there's so many things that are great about Northern Colorado, the area. A lot of people want to live in Colorado. So I do think that they enjoy it. And this group's been together for a long time. And when the portal really started going crazy about a year ago, every coach worries about it. But, for us, we just had conversations with our guys and they wanted to stay and continue to grow as a team and individually as well. So it's a tough time to be a coach. For those reasons, but our guys are they've been here a long time and they're excited about it.
Now, Coach Smiley just talked about this a little bit, but Northern Colorado is a special place to be. Hannah and Matt, you're both Colorado natives. I want to know what role being from Colorado played in your decision to compete in Northern Colorado. So Hannah, we'll start with you.
I'm really close to my family and I really love being close to home. So that was a big decision for me when I chose here. And I'm just glad I did because there's been like change in coaching staff, players with the transfer portal leaving. So I'm just happy that I'm where I want to be and I'm comfortable with the area. And that was a really big decision for me, being close to home. So that's the main reason why I picked here.
Matt, what about for you?
Same for me. I mean, I'm from Aurora, so it's about an hour away from here, and just being close to home and being able to just stay in contact with your family, can maybe drive up here and there. Just being close to home is just a good thing about going to school here.
I'm sure that's very nice. Now, Coach Matteo, you alluded to it earlier, but the Big Sky Conference, you're no stranger to it. You started your coaching career at Montana State. Would you say this is kind of full circle for you getting to coach now as a head coach in the Big Sky?
Absolutely. My first 2 years of coaching was at Montana State. And, it's crazy. Coach Benford, really, when our staff was leaving, she came in and she's been there ever since just to kind of see, what they've done there is pretty remarkable. But to be back in it and just to know, just seeing all the gyms and back in the arenas and everything that I started off as an assistant coach, it's excited to be here. Northern Colorado was not in the Big Sky whenever I was at Montana State. So obviously I've lived in Colorado before, so I feel like I'm coming full circle back from where I started to where I've lived before, and I love it here.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you in the conference. Coach Smiley, when we look back to last year, didn't really get to have much of a summer. Comparing this year to where you were at last year, do you feel that your team is in a better place?
Yeah, I do. Because of summer, and then we also had the ability to do a foreign trip this summer, and so we got those extra practices in, and then the 3 games in Puerto Rico. So I feel like we're way further along. The fine line is not burning your guys out because we did so much more in the summer than a typical summer. But I do feel like we're in a much better place, and we're a lot more advanced than we were a year ago. A year ago it was like pre-algebra or algebra. Now I think we're a little bit more into like the trigonometry and the calculus. So we're getting there, day by day.
Good analogy. I like it. Matt, talking about that trip to Puerto Rico, how was that for you? And what was it like to be able to build team chemistry overseas?
Yeah, the foreign trip, it was one of the best experiences of my life, honestly. I mean, just we played a lot of basketball, just the amount of time we had to spend with each other, you know, on the beach and just being around the new guys and just being around the older guys too, and just getting to know them better than what I have in past years. And it was just it was just fun. It was just fun. So
Glad to hear that. Now, Hannah, what have been some of your favorite ways that team chemistry has been built off the court?
I really like all my new teammates. We've had a lot of fun together. My favorite thing to do right now is, I mean, they live really close to me, so I'll just stop by somebody's house and just have a good time. We'll just hang out. I think one thing that's really special about our team is, there's not like a group of people that are secluded from everybody else. We're very inclusive. We include each other. I feel like I can go to any teammate anytime for anything. So my favorite part is just stopping by people's houses and hanging out.
How important is that to have those relationships off the court? How does that translate on court?
I think that's what's going to be really special about us this year is we're getting closer every day. And of course, the time we spend on the court is important, but hanging out with each other and having fun off the court is definitely going to translate, getting that team chemistry. And it's just fun to play with people that you really like. So I think it's going to be special this year.
Awesome. Look forward to seeing it. Coach Matteo, how have you communicated your expectations for your team with them?
I think, if I look back in the summer, we didn't even have everybody all summer long. We have just taken it really one day at a time. A lot of different things, whether it's early on individual meetings with every player, just to, really get a feel for their needs and how we can best serve them. And then just how we want to show up every single day. I think we take it day by day. We've tried not to look too far forward and obviously live in the past, but just focus on who we are and who we want to become collectively as a team. And I just think it's continuing to talk about the vision and some of the core values that we have and just how we show up every single day. But it's communication more than anything. I think it has to be lived out. We have Hannah on this Zoom call right now, and she's somebody that lives out how we do things every day and represents everything that we look for in our program, from the culture side, the teammate side, to just what she does academically, so off the court too. But it's just day by day. We've just tried to take step by step.
What is, you talk about Hannah being someone who represents the culture. What does that look like? Can you give me some examples of what the culture are, what your vision is for this program?
I think you start with the person off the court. That's important to us, who they are, as a person and outside of the player. And even though we all know it goes hand in hand, Hannah from the beginning, my first phone call with her, like she said, she wants to be here. She's passionate about attending University of Northern Colorado and playing college basketball here, being around her family. That's all things that are important to us too, as a staff. Then there's this academic piece that she has, and then leadership on the court. And we all know, to have great teams, you got to have great leaders. Hannah's a sophomore, so she's still learning and growing, but she knows how to take care of business, of how she shows up, everything in a timely manner, how she communicates with her teammates has been special. And I'm excited that we get 3 years, 4 years maybe, with her here at Northern Colorado.
Fantastic. Coach Smiley, looking at the non-conference schedule, it looks pretty tough. How are you going to use that to assess where your team's at?
I think it is really tough. There's a lot of tough games on there, but we're playing a lot of games. And I think for us at this point, like in Matt's career, Bodie, those older guys, we're at a point where I think we need to play as many games as possible. So we try to get the maximum amount of games, first of all. And then, whether it's, the opening season tournament in Hawaii, which will be really difficult, whether it's games like at Texas, at Arizona, as an example, a lot of tough games. But I do think that, just when you play those games and then you get to the Big Sky, it doesn't shock you when you play a really tough road game. You're used to it because you've already been, in front of however many thousands of people at Arizona, at Colorado State this year. They're supposed to be really good as well. So I just think that for us, we did not want a light, soft schedule. We wanted to really challenge our guys, push our guys. We know that ultimately you got to win 3 games in March, and that's all that matters. And you could have a great year and you could have a bad tournament and it's over. You could be up and down during the year, but if you peak at that right time in March, that's how you're going to get to March Madness from the Big Sky. So for us, we want to really challenge our guys and stay on edge so that when we get to the Big Sky, that we're battle tested as much as possible.
You talk about winning 3 games in March. Would you say that you and your program have a bit of a chip on your shoulder heading into the season?
Yeah, I think that, for us, just so much of it, what's important about the regular season is that the seeding is really important, obviously, with the top seeds getting buys, and you got to put yourself in the best situation to advance in the Big Sky tournament. So those games all matter. But I think just the chip, we've had a couple seasons here recently that we've been really, really close and we just didn't get over the hump. And so a lot of those guys, including Matt, have been through those tough times too, where we've had great years and just didn't finish it off. And so I think whether it's a chip on the shoulder or just being hungry to try to really get to the, find the edge of that rainbow, right? That's the goal. So there's definitely some hunger, and I can see it in practice every day that the old guys, the veterans, they are pushing each other, without us having to do it. They're pushing each other to a higher level every single day. And it's fun to be their coach.
Matt, Coach Smiley is talking about coming close in the Big Sky tournament. I've seen it firsthand. What's going to be key to getting over that hump? Is it a mental thing you think that you need to work on?
I think for us, it's just being together. I mean, the game of basketball is all about runs and being able to withstand those runs and create runs for your own team. So when other teams make runs offensively, it's just about staying together and just staying poised. And I think with an older veteran group, that's going to be a lot easier. And yeah, pretty much just staying together as a team is very important.
Are you hungrier this year than you've ever been before?
Yes, for sure. I mean, just like Coach Miley said in past years, I've seen teams crumble, our own team crumble. I've seen tough losses. I've seen the emotions that it brings out, and it's not a great feeling. And I just want to be able to turn that around.
Hannah, looking at the schedule last year, because of COVID, you were playing the same opponent back to back. This year, returning to a bit of a more traditional schedule. How do you think that, the structure of last year's schedule, maybe perhaps a little bit more difficult mentally, has prepared you for this season?
Yeah, last year was kind of weird. We would play teams within like this 3 days twice. So, a lot of film, a lot of scouting. I think this year, just because of having that experience, it's going to be, I wouldn't say easier, but I'm just going to be more experienced. And I think even the returners who are back with me could say the same thing. Like, all of the COVID experiences are preparing us for this year. And I just really think that we're going to be locked and loaded this year and more mentally focused. You'll get a little more rest time. You'll get more time to prepare. And I think overall, that's really going to help us out.
You talked about it a little bit earlier, Hannah, but just gratitude. What are the things that you found yourself most thankful for returning to more normal times now?
I get most excited for like my parents getting to come to watch every game or like full stands. I've never experienced that before. And getting to do it with my teammates is just going to be really exciting. I've gotten to know these girls like a lot. These are some of my best friends now. And I just think being able to do it with them, feeling the packed gyms, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. And like you said, I'm really blessed to be in this position. But I also think having the COVID experience has made me just so much more grateful for regular basketball. I think sometimes we take that for granted, and I definitely won't be doing that this year if we get to.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Things are looking good, so hopefully it continues to stay that way. Coach Matteo, when you take a look at the schedule, what are the games that are sticking out to you?
I think we just look at our first couple of games right off the bat, going to Arizona State and Colorado State here. I think we have an exhibition against Regis. So I don't know if there's any, special games. I think we're going to have some tough games to begin with and get tested. We'll know where we stand pretty early in the season, but by, playing some Pac-12 teams and then obviously Colorado State. So I'm excited for all of it. The Big Sky Conference comes in pretty quick as we hit the Montanas pretty early in the season as well. So I think that first half before we get into Christmas break, we're going to really know a lot about ourselves and our team and kind of the direction we want to head in.
Awesome. Look forward to watching both your programs. I appreciate your time today. This has been the Big Sky virtual tip-off on ESPN Plus with Northern Colorado.